Right, it's bye-bye from Mick.
Bye-bye.
Well, hello. How are you doing? You alright? Welcome to WHIT News 11. WHIT News 11. God, time flies when you're having fun. Right. Now, I know you've not seen me for probably, I try to do it every month, but, you know, I think it's been a bit over a month, maybe a touch more, I don't know. But I've just been grabbing some information to focus on, and of course to find out what WHIT's been up to, or we're going to be up to. So basically, I'd just like to say as well, I've got a little bit of a, not a sore throat, but somebody called the other day and I think I picked it up. So if you see me taking a little bit of, it's because, you know, there's a little bit of a dry throat kind of thing, so a good cup of Yorkshire will sort it, I'm sure. There's always an answer at the bottom of a cup of Yorkshire. That's what I always say. Right, basically, what's on the cards? Right, let's start with, I've put it at number 2, but basically, it should be number 1. It's the card trouble I've had. Now, you'll probably know, or probably sensed or something, that we went down to Cannock Chase. If you didn't, we did. So we went down to Cannock Chase a good couple of months ago. Now, what I'm getting at is, when I came back from Cannock Chase, the SD card was corrupted. So that's the first time I've had a problem with, you know. But of course, if I formatted the card, I would lose all the data on it. So I'm basically, I keep trying to get into it, but I think I've lost it, because the format is gone. So I do apologise. But, like I said, we did go to Cannock Chase. It wasn't a lost, you know, day really, because we learned a little bit more about the place itself. I mean, we went down past the cemetery, and we went down to the roundabout and then up the hill to Pie Green Tower, where we met up with Daz and Kaz. So we were kind of filming round there, and it's a bit of a kind of, you know, you do go kind of back thinking about the towers used in, you know, obviously the army. You can tell it's like surrounded by army offices and stuff like that, and you hear the rumours that there's tunnels, but probably is, to be honest. You've heard of military tanks and vehicles going in and not being seen coming out. So there's definitely something, you know, military about it, which got me thinking about it. So I said to, I said to Daz, Daz, can you tell me any more about, you know, Pie Green Tower? And he said, yeah, of course I can, Lee. He said, basically, it was for a project what was called Operation Backbone. And it was in the Cold War they were built. And he said, basically, what they were used for, they came from the top of England right down south. Now, I don't know how many towers there are, but it was used basically for the last resort, really, of a nuclear war. So they were going to build towers, which they built, I think Dad said they built one in Yorkshire, and then they built one coming down the M62 to the highest point, which is Windy Hill. And then they built one at Macclesfield, and then at Heaton Park in Manchester. And then they went down to Pie Green Tower, where we were stood. And then they went down to Birmingham BBC. and basically they were used to get communication throughout the event of a nuclear war throughout the country by like microwaves. That's the way they were going to communicate. And I thought, that's very interesting indeed. And a few people will probably be interested in that because I didn't know what it was, they were used for. I mean, now they're used as telecoms communication. I mean, everything you look up now and everything's got a telecoms communication stuck to it, basically. But yeah, so that was where we first went, to Pie Green Tower. Now, we had a fantastic day, but like I said, the card was corrupted and I was gutted because they had some really good black and white pictures of Pie Green Tower, because all day we had a mist, a very low mist, and we kind of paid for it later, but at the time when we were taking the photos and everything and throughout the day it looked fantastic. But like I said, I just cannot get out the actual photos or the filming. So yeah, but what I'm saying about Pie Green Tower is when we came back up a couple of weeks later, we had, and I think it's on W.H.I.T's Facebook page, you can have a look. There's 2 stories came in from, obviously, the Birmingham area, Cannock Chase, of 2 sightings, which Cannock Chase, they're always strange. Now, there was one of a guy who, it sounds like, I'll not tell you about it really, but roughly it kind of on the lines of, you can have a look, like I say, on Facebook. I'm sure that Mick would have put them up. I've seen a pig man at Castle Ring, and also what I mentioned about Pie Green Tower, there was a sighting there. Now, when we were down there, if we knew, we could have gone down and had a proper look, but of course it only came in a couple of weeks after we'd left Cannock Chase. Now, the actual path, the retired couple, how it goes roughly, is the retired couple one evening thought, we'll go for a little bit of a walk. So they parked the car in the lay-by at Pie Green Tower, which is, it can only hold about 4 or 5 cars tops. And they decided to go down the path from Pie Green Tower to the cemetery, but the old part. But when they got down to the old part, they described of what they saw to be a dogman. But like I said, Lee Brickley's brought these, these actual encounters to probably the paper. But if you want to have a look at it, just go on to the Facebook page and have a look in more detail. But yeah, so I was a bit gutted about that really. But like I say, it weren't a wasted day because we did, recce the area a bit. We went to the punch bowl. But what I'm saying is, we paid for it later. Is when we sat down at night to do an all-nighter down there, heavens opened. So we ended up, we couldn't do anything really. We had to come home, and I mean, it started trickling, but then it came in heavy. So it was the equipment, we just can't risk it, everything getting damp. Right, anyway, moving on. So basically, on about the corrupt card, if you subscribe to my 2 cameras, one at Heysham up in the lakes and one at Rivington to catch, fingers crossed, the big black cat, you'll know we've got problems with one of the cameras at Rivington. Now, I've took it down, as you've probably seen, and it is working perfectly for what I've tested so far, but I'm still looking into it because it should have charged with the daylight. It doesn't need sunlight. It can charge. There's actually, to be honest, there's an actual, when you plug the solar panel in, there's a green light and an orange light, and then when it's not charging, there's no light at all. So if it's getting a little bit of light, it's orange. If it's hitting the sunlight, it gets green. So I need to look at it in a bit more detail. I'm not going to put my email address down at the bottom until it's up and running, and then I'll mention it probably in another W.H.I.T news or another video. But we have got a couple of subscribers to it, so thank you. Every little helps, as I say. Right, moving on. You probably saw as well that I've been doing some looking up on the sycamore gap on the tree what was cut down. Now, this tree was planted about 150 years ago by a Newcastle lawyer called John Clayton, and you'll see that obviously the trial is going on, but they appeared at Newcastle Crown Court. I think they did anyway, and the judge, either way, they did turn up or they didn't, but the judge said to one of them that you're too ill to, for the trial to start. So they've pushed it back to the beginning of December. So I can't tell you any more on that, but yeah. But I mean, it did get me thinking as well about the Sycamore Gap. I mean, like I said, John Clayton planted it for like a magical view, didn't it? Between two hills, it's been in Robin Hood. People have got married there. There's memories, but it got me thinking. I thought, what are the other trees throughout the actual, UK? What we've actually, Scotland included, that we've lost. What meant so many things to people. Not just a single tree, but maybe a clump of, a small forest land, what meant somebody to somebody, but that's all just gone. I mean, when you keep looking, they keep pulling forest down. I know they're actually planting more trees now, but to me, I think they've done it a little bit late. But, time will tell, to be honest. But, yeah, so nothing to tell you, really, until December about the Sycamore Gap tree. Right. Also, as well, you'll see that we had on Facebook a couple of weeks ago the Northern Lights. But what was strange about it was, to me, I've been thinking that, what was all this about you needed your camera on your phone to see them? Because I've never heard that about the Northern Lights before. So I was speaking to Mick about it, Mick McLaren, bob over and have a look at his channel. And I said, Mick, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, funny you should say that. He said, because at the same time of the Northern Lights, that HARP, which stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Centre. And I was like, right, okay, I've never heard of HARP. He went, well, basically, what they're doing is, it's a high frequency waves, what they're trying different things with. Like firing them at the sun, seeing what it does with the weather. They're doing all sorts, but we'll never really know what they're up to, let's face it. But basically, it was set up. It was first set up in a US Air Force base, and then it moved. I think it was about the 11th of August 2015. It moved to Alaska, Fairbanks University. And I was just talking to Mick about it. I said, what do you think? He said, well, it's one of them. He said, but the thing is, when I said to Mick, he said, yeah, but HARP, when you go on the website, at the time the strange lights and objects have been seen, they were actually testing. And I thought, that's why, and I thought, that's kind of the answer I was looking for. Maybe they weren't the Northern Lights and they were kind of testing things and putting things up in the air to test what would happen if people started talking. I don't know, but that's one of the, the things I was thinking about, to be honest. Yeah, so HARP. But a couple of days later, I had, the night it happened, I think there was 2 nights it happened, but the first night it happened, I had some pictures sent to me by my brother. Now, I was actually in the Lake District at the time, and the Lake District, and we were in the middle of a field, basically, where the actual static caravan is. And of course, it's very low light pollution. So when he got this through, I thought, oh, well, let's have a look at it, and there was just nothing at all, which I thought, that's strange. But he sent me some fantastic images, and I'll put them on. And also, I got some emailed into me as well from somebody as well who kind of follows my channel. And I thought, how interesting, because they're really different to the Northern Lights you see them at, So I'll let you have a look, and like I say, if you think any more about it, just comment below, we'll find out more. But yeah, so that was the things I was thinking about HARP. Yeah, moving on. Right, moving on. Right, I was looking the other day to book, and it had a story in which got me thinking. I was jotting a few things down, and it was a guy in America who, is like what we have over here is a wild camper. Now, he had a bit of a city job, and he didn't actually say where it was in America, but obviously it was a forested area, and he basically had a city job, but for release of the pressure, because they're a rat race. You can imagine, can you? You only need to look at London. It's just one of them. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't like to go to be fair. I've never really fancied London because obviously, you imagine it being a rat race. But yeah, so he actually left the city, and he on his days off or chilling out or breaks or whatever you want to call it, he went to a forested area, and what he would do is, if it was warm enough, he would put a blanket down on the side of the river, and he would just kind of watch the stars and fall asleep. But one night he actually did fall asleep, and he was woken by two Bigfoots side by side. And obviously you can imagine the scare he got. And what he tried to do, when he kind of realised, he thought, right, okay, let's just kind of calm things down. Let's just, they've not done anything to me, so let's just not panic. But what he tried to do is wriggle out of the middle of two Sasquatch. And he was wriggling that much that they kind of moved in a bit closer. So it ended up, he was actually that tired of trying to wriggle out of it, not in an uncomfortable way, he just kind of fell asleep again. So he woke up the following morning, and of course the Bigfoots had gone. And I thought, God, that's strange, isn't it? But that's something similar, really similar to what us as humans would do. So I looked a bit more into it. And I found a story from Native Americans. I think, don't get me if I pronounce it wrong, but the Maker tribe, if I remember right. And this tribe was telling a few stories. And one of the stories was that a guy was taking a walk, 20-25 minutes walk in the dark. But obviously, these Indians, they have that extra level of sensitivity, and they've been brought up more with nature than what we are. Or you can imagine it that way. So basically, this Indian was walking on a back forest road, but it was a main kind of road, so it was tarmacked. It weren't like a logging road. And basically, there was markings at the side of the road, like we do, and markings in the middle. Well, he didn't have a torch, so basically it was just, probably from the moonlight, he was just following the middle of the actual road. So he was following the road markings. and he heard like a bit of a noise, but it was like rustling on one side, and then he heard like a strange kissing noise on the other. And within literally seconds, before he knew it, he was actually walking with two Bigfoots at the side of each other. So you can imagine that, you imagine that picture. So he just carried on walking briefly, because obviously they wouldn't have, if they knew about the creatures like we kind of, is the Bigfoot, is the not, they know definitely, because obviously the Indians have been brought up with stories. So, they probably looked a bit more into it when they've heard the stories and seen them, So you can imagine they weren't so he carried on walking, and he was walking for a good 10-15 minutes, and then he heard a car coming. So I thought, at least I'm a bit. But before the car came round the corner, or over the hill, or whatever, with the headlights, the Bigfoots kind of veered off. And the car came and kind of gave him a lift to wherever he was going. But it got me thinking, I thought, that's something what we would do as a protection. It's not, there's just probably, was there something like a burr in the area and it was protecting the Indian in the middle? Because that's only something we would kind of do. It's just baffling, isn't it? But there again, one either side of a human. It's just madness. But, these Indians, they know their stuff, don't they? They know their stuff, definitely, because I always say they've got all the answers. Another one story, which I'll tell you quickly, which is a bit of a longish one, is that there was a story put round many years ago that these same tribe, Native Indians, they had what they used to call as what was it called now? Hard smoke. That was what it was called. Hard smoke. I couldn't think of it then, and I'd not written it down. Sorry. Hard smoke, and what it involved was smoking fish. Now, basically, they had huts, and what they would do is catch the fish, and they would smoke the fish, 24/7. And the way they marked each tribe on the actual grills, or whatever, the branches or whatever they used to put inside the actual smokehouse, they would mark it by different skills. Just have a sip. There you go. Sorry about that. Seal skins. So that's what they would mark. But the fire, what they'd have to do, where we smoke fish and then let the smoke do the job when the fire's gone out, they keep it going 24/7. That's why it's called hard smoke. And obviously people kept stoking the fire up, keep going in, and So somebody went in to stoke up the fire and thought, there's some fish missing there, what's going on? That's strange. Right, okay. So in the morning he had a word with the tribe, and the tribe said, well, that's not nice really, that, because we kind of, it's fuel for winter which we're cooking to save, to winter, for feed us through the winter period. And they thought there's something not right, because they don't really pinch off each other, they don't take fish from each other's tribe. And of course, I've said they're already marked by seal skins. So this guy steps forward and says, what I'll do is, I've noticed that it seems to be going at night. So he said, I'll keep me distance, and I'll just watch what happens. So basically that's what he did. And he sat there, and then there was a bit of rustling, and he looked, and he caught a family Sasquatch coming out of the forest, And they approached the hut, and it was a door, not like a normal door where you'd open it. It was a door what slid and tilted up. So he's watching them, and that's what they did. Opened the door, slid it up, and they went in, got the fish, got all the door, pulled it back. excuse me, and they went off into the forest. So the following morning, they knew exactly it was Sasquatch which were taking the actual fish, not other, tribes. So one of them says, right, okay, he says, what we'll do is, it's going to be hard to do, but we'll try and catch one. So somebody jumps forward and says, well, how are we going to do that? And they said, well, what I'm thinking is, we'll stalk it back up and get the fish back in. And what we'll do is, we'll lock the door from the inside, barricade it so they can't open the door. And what we'll do is, we will kind of come with the way we're going to have to do it is, obviously a good reason is if we have people inside, we will, cover the smell of humans with the fish which is smoking. So what we'll do is we'll put a couple of people inside, and then we will actually barricade the door, keep some people inside, but we'll get up through the roof and drop down. That's what we'll do. So they said, right, okay, so they did that. Anyway, lo and behold, same happened again. The Bigfoots came out and they tried the door, wouldn't open. Anyway, the young un of the actual Sasquatch family, the little youth, what they did was, the daddy one picked him up and put him on the roof, and he actually went through the roof, but he couldn't really just drop through the roof, he had to swing over the fire. So when he got through the roof and swung over the fire, the people inside got hold of the young one, and the ones outside the actual door of the hut started panicking, going, oh, why is he screaming, what's going on? And basically this old man came forward, and he said to him, this is, there's no harm done, just release him. So they barricaded the door, let the youth out, and they said, look, there's no harm done, like I say, but the deal is that you cannot take our fish because that's our fuel for winter. So the deal was made, and it's supposed to be a true story, where they said any leftover fish or anything that we can supply, we will leave at the back of the other huts near the forest. And that's what happened. They did the deal and everybody was happy. So, going through the roof door, yeah, but going through the roof, it just shows they kind of think along our lines as well. It's just crazy, but fascinating. Right, moving on. Basically, you've seen that I did the not night vision. They're not night vision, but it's actually the night vision, the Dacian dye colour, but I've put them into day. I'm going to try testing them in day. So when I go out somewhere, when we get the right weather, then I'll test them in the daylight. So these were made, the Dacian colour, and I've been doing a little bit of testing. And the Dacian goggles, when you put them on, you're supposed to see the energy around your fingers. Well, with these, you can. So it makes you wonder, is it the actual Dacian dye or is it the actual colour? Because obviously the Dacian dye was banned, but is there something more to the colour? So what I have done as well, these are for the daylight, but I've actually done night vision in the same colour. Now, which is brilliant really, absolutely brilliant. But the trouble is that you, the viewers and subscribers, won't see what I'm seeing, because the way they work is, you've got obviously your night vision, which you look through, and then you've got your IR. Now your IR sends out a light which your night vision picks up, and that's how you can see in the dark basically. So the colour is before the IR light, but if you put the colour behind the IR light, it corrupts it and you don't get that image. So I'm going to carry on testing, and of course when I start testing them out so that I can just see. I'll be commentating what's actually going on. So that's quite interesting that I've done them in the day and I've done them in the night. So if there's any truth to the Vietnam veterans, that they did see things, you know, the UE pilots, the gunners, you know, we might be onto something, but all we can do is try. Fingers crossed. Right, also as well, Mick McLaren has said that the website, W.H.I.T website, is up and running. So you can just go over to Mick's channel and tap it in, and the map will come up and other things as well. He's added a few more features, I think, so that's good. And also as well that we were having Mick's come forward with a poster, and just bear with me. Right, sorry about that. Yeah, so Mick has done the poster and we're going on a WIT walk in November. So I'll put the poster up and then you can have a look at the details. But if you are interested, can we ask you to just kind of email Mick and let us know in the number of numbers which are coming. We're not bothered if you say, yeah, I'm coming, and then last minute you don't turn up. It's just to get an idea of, you know, how many's actually going to come over, and maybe go for a bit of a walk. I don't know what's planned yet as such, but Mick's sorting that all. Mick's sorted that side of things out. Right. Other things are basically we're going to try. I don't think we will now, but I mean the weather's changed and whatnot. But we may try to get down to Cannock Chase for the years out. I don't know. Thornborough Stone Circle we will call going. I don't know about that yet. You know, everybody's just a little bit missing on dates, so we don't like going just half of us. We'd rather rebook a full day where we can all go. So, you know, there is stuff coming in. Rivington, we're always up Rivington. Yeah, so that's what's happening at WIT News at the moment. But I've also as well got an email sent in, and sorry, not an email sent in. I've actually I know the guy, and I spoke to him in person. Now I've tried to get this sighting of him speaking on film, but it won't go on film. So I said to him, I said, blah, 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 blah. And he said, but I do know another guy who's seen it. And I said, right, okay. I said, can we get him on film? Can we do it that way? Pixelate his face, change his voice, you know, can we do anything? So he rang him while I was there, and he didn't pick up. But the guy has gone away. He went away at the beginning, it was Monday he went away, so he's gone away for a full week. So I might hear something, I might not. But interestingly, what I'm trying to say is, he may have come across something rarer than a big black cat. Now, I was like, I was wondering where he was going, and I said, well, what have you seen? He said, well, basically, and the good thing about you is, he said, that's what I'm telling you. He said, because it's on your doorstep. So how's that it? Results. Come on. So I said, well, what is it you've seen? And he said, a black fox. I said, a black fox? He said, yeah, a black fox. I thought, I've never heard of a black fox. Maybe you're saying the same, a black fox. So I said, it's on our doorstep. He said, yeah. It's right on your doorstep. And he said, my friend who have just rang, he saw it May last year, and I've seen it this year. He said, in the middle of this year. He said, it's a bit off the beaten track. It's not where people walk. He said, but I have seen it. It walked straight in front of me. It weren't a baby. He said, it was pretty, you know, it was pretty, well, it was bigger really than a red fox. So I looked at the photos of it, and lo and behold, I mean, I'll put a picture up now, there actually is a black fox, and they're really rare, apparently. They're like a mythical creature, they're that rare. So I thought, black fox, and I thought, I know what I'll do. Let's see if Paul Sinclair's seen it. So, or knows about it. Because obviously in Yorkshire it's all flat farmland and, you know. So I sent him an audio clip on Messenger, because Paul's always busy. I don't like moidering him. And he replied back and he said, do you know, funny you should say that. He said, Lee, he said, because a friend of his, I'm not going to name where because, you know, they might not. He said, but a friend of his has actually seen one in Yorkshire. And he said, it's near to him. He said, but the thing is, what he remembers is, it was slightly bigger than what you'd think a red fox would be, or you imagine it. And I thought, bingo, I thought, that's exactly more or less what he said. Now, Paul said that it might not be another subspecies of the fox. He said, but, you know, he said it is interesting that it's a little bit bigger. But he said they do have, you know, sometimes a white tail as well, which obviously a fox has. So I'm going to look more into that side of things. And yeah, keep you all updated about the black fox. So I'm not going to keep you any longer. I've like I said, I've added a few photos and I've throughout, and what I'll do, I'll add them at the end of this, and then you can have another proper look without me gassing on in between. So on that note, thanks for watching, and I'd just like to say as well, big thank you to you all out there, to the subscribers, because of it, 400. The back end of last week I hit 400. I think it's just gone a little bit over 400 now, so a big thank you. I can't thank you enough. Now, I know it's not about the numbers. It doesn't really bother me if I've got 1, 1,000, you know, whatever, but it shows that it's going up and we're not on the down. So people are taking notice. So I will keep my eye on that number and keep you, you know, up to date with what's happening with W.H.I.T as well. And if you want to ask me anything, if you want to ask Mick anything or whatever, ask W.H.I.T anything, just message Mick, comment below on my channel. You know, we're all interactive. And then, you know, we'll probably get back to you. I do read every comment. And like I say, subscription's free, so it doesn't cost you a penny. But like I say, I'll keep you updated, and the CatMat Cam, I will keep you updated on that. So I'll not keep you any longer. Thanks again. Hope you've enjoyed it like I have. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye for now. And remember as well, you can always purchase the t-shirts off Paul, the DVDs on his website and his books. And as well, I think he's on with book number 6. So he's got 4 in the set, Night People, and he's on with 6. So good luck to Paul as well if he watches this. So, and I know a lot of you people watch Truth Proof as well. So, as well, give everybody a like in the paranormal channels you like, and you know, let's keep it rolling and knocking on them paranormal doors. But remember, don't be scared of the dark, but be scared of what's in it. Bye bye for now. Just reported this to Paul at Truth Proof, and obviously reporting it to yourself as well. I still can't make my mind up if it's just an hang glider, apart from the odd shape and behaviour. Maybe someone else has reported similar. I was pondering whether to send this report, but the more I think about it, the more I think it is something unusual. Saturday the 9th of November 2024, 16:10, in between Greasborough and Park Gate, North Rotherham. Daily walk with Rocky the dog. We have had that anticyclonic gloom all week, and it was still cloudy but breaking a bit. No wind, very calm, and it's a very quiet area. 10 minutes from home, walking up the path in between the cultivated fields, and I was near the top of the hill. No one else around.
it's unusually pretty quiet. Anyway, apart from the odd dog walker, there's a small woodland at the top. The path is pretty much east-west, and I'm going westward. I see what I think is a crow gliding over the woodland because it is black and a sort of floaty look to it. But it's way high up, so I think it's possibly an hang glider or something. It's heading eastward, so I am facing it, and there's nothing blocking my view of it. I start to think there's something unusual about the way it is moving. It seems a bit juddery, but effortless at the same time. It was very black. As it looked unusual, I took some photos with my phone camera that had an 8x zoom. As I was taking photos, the object started to change direction and do a loop, and then it went up into the clouds. Part of me is still saying hang glider, and probably most people looking at the photos would probably think the same. But why would someone on a hang glider do that? I can't see any person, Aprillian, etc. on the photos. It looks flattish. I realised that apart from the first photo, there are no reference points to verify the location, direction, etc. I took the photo the day after to give an idea of the setting. Photo attached. If it was an hang glider, it would have had to be motorised. As far as I am aware, the nearest place non-motorised hang gliders fly from is the Peak District, approximately 20 miles away. And there was no noise at all. Also, the time of day. It was dusk, not a good time of day to be out flying. No lights and black wings. Also, the shape of the object doesn't completely match those of a hang glider. They look mostly like a bird or a fish tails. The end of the object wings, as in the cropped photos, are clipped. See attached photos. Unfortunately, as stated above, because it is open sky, there are no reference points apart from an overhead cable on photo 1. Anyway, I hope it is of some interest and maybe someone else might report seeing it. So if there is anybody with that day, that time, with the same kind of sighting around, Rotherham area, within 50 miles of Rotherham,